Welcome back to the High Value Man Conversation. This is episode 20.
The deuce, yeah.
The deuce. Double deuce. And we are talking about inside the ring, the 7 rings of marriage and relationship. For those of you that are not yet married, we're going to walk you through the 7 stages, and they all are rings. You know, engagement ring and wedding ring, but there's actually 5 other rings that you walk through. And we're going to give you some hows, whys, and a good understanding of why you need to pay attention to the ring you're in so that you can advance on to the next round.
Yeah, for sure. What I love about this topic is it comes from a book that I recently read. But I wear a wedding ring, as I do, clearly because I'm married. But the thought process behind the ring not just being a tangible on my hand, but it's also seasons that I've lived through. And so each of these are benchmarks that in romantic relationships, specifically marriage, that men and couples will walk through at some point.
That's good.
Becoming aware of those and understanding how to navigate them and move through them.
Yeah. Before we hop in, there's something you shared with me last time when we were talking about this episode that I thought was really powerful, really good visual in regards to the ring, what the ring symbolizes, but in regards to a tree, cutting a tree in the center. Explain that a little bit.
Yeah, so I had the opportunity to be to speak at a wedding of a dear friend of mine. I was the best man, so I got the mic for a little bit. And what I was thinking about, the thought process I want to give them is if you were to take a tree of any age and cut it in half, you'd be exposed to the rings inside. Trees have rings. There's a ring that's created in every year of a tree's life. And I am not this type of scientist, but what scientists can do is when they do get eyeballs on the ring, is the ring exposes everything that the tree was
seasoned
through that year. It can tell if it was heavy rain, if it was drought, the stresses of the wind, everything that the tree, good or bad, experienced in that year are revealed in the rings. And so the older that a tree is, the more rings that it has. You can tell the age of its life and then everything it experienced through its life. And I go, man, what beautiful thing is that you can actually see the beauty behind the rings. And of course, the older the tree lived, not only the more rings that it had, but the wider it is. And so the wider the trunk is, the more it's able to withstand time and diversity and growth and development.
Yeah, the bigger the branch is, the more fruit it's going to provide, and more stories it has.
Yeah, so you're stronger and have a greater ability to live longer by being in the commitment, by being in the marriage, by sticking it out. Research even tells us that regardless of the scenario of that, couples that choose to stick it out have a higher satisfaction than couples that decide to get divorced and get started over. So sticking it out, getting more rings in, actually determines the longevity of the relationship, but also your significance that you gain from that relationship.
Yeah, I love that. And if you guys are listening to this episode, so many of the guys that we talked to there, I'm going to give you a little hint, a preview of one of the rings. So many guys are in this ring cycle of persevering, like just pushing through like an endurance race, and then restoring, like fixing some problems that showed up in the marriage. And it's this kind of vicious loop, persevering and restoring, restoring. So many guys I know are like white knuckling it in their business and in their relationship dynamic. What we're going to give you is some insight and understanding so you can break through that and get to the exciting part, which is the prospering stage.
Absolutely. Prospering and then mentoring, right? Yeah. Giving back, the serving piece of it. And so let's dive into what we've got here is we're going to walk through 7 rings that are found in marriage. And we'll start with the first one. And the whole point, guys, why we want to do this is you can't manage what you don't see. Good. And so we want to expose these different seasons, these different rings that you're either in or that you're going to be in when you get married. Because knowledge is only potential, Aaron, but action is power. Okay. So not only do we want to give you knowledge, but we want to give you tangible tools to put to action so that you can get through the season that you're in, the ring that you're in, and move on to the next one. Because we want to see every man that is a high-value man prosper. It's the whole point of it. So the first one is the engagement ring. The biggest lesson that you're going to learn when you are engaged and you're wearing that engagement ring is that you have to know the purpose of your relationship. You have to know what the purpose is, which means not to just get into a relationship and get engaged because she's hot or there's things about her that you just consume your mind. Like you have to have a purpose. You have to begin with the end in mind.
So good.
And then also to learn what marriage is. A lot of people only have, and this is statistically because of divorce rates, but most of us have an understanding of what marriage is not or shouldn't be versus what marriage is designed to be, what that unity is.
So the engagement ring process, that's it's like your pre-discovery. It's really understanding the person that you're choosing to do life with. There's some great questions inside the book, which we'll reference it in the caption below. But the process that, if you have the intention of only doing it once, like, do your discovery process, like really know yourself and know who you're getting into this. But just like Josh said, know the purpose of marriage. And so it's a lifelong commitment. And the goal with that is to really get to the stage of mentoring where you're helping, serving, and leading and leaving a legacy behind.
Absolutely. And the engagement ring for people is exciting. It's new. It's novel. You're getting to start to do life with an individual. You decided, hey, you're my person. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. And it's more based on a feeling versus on a legacy, right? So just understanding that in the engagement ring, you're going to have high amounts of excitement. You're going to have high amounts of fun, but those shouldn't be the focal points.
Sure.
You should also be looking down the road in the engagement ring. So the things to focus on if you're in the engagement ring season is your friendship, your commitment to one another, understanding that in relationship there is delayed gratification, and you've got to know that. Then also getting into some intimacy, and then building a foundation. Foundation, which we talk about in High Value Men, is having your vision and your core values. Got to have them. So again, begin with the end in mind is the foundation point of the engagement ring.